This is an initial permanency hearing involving all the Nunley children. Mr. Alvey's with us for the department. Ms. Williamson's with us for CASA. Mr. Nowak is with us representing the children. Ms. Kincaid is with us representing the mother, Ms. Nunley, who is also with us. I've got 5 fathers, Mr. Alvarez, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Grimes, Mr. Hicks, Mr. McNeil. None of them are with us. None of them are in the waiting room. They're all alleged fathers. That's everybody. This case was set for 9 o'clock. It's now 9:10. We will proceed in all of these alleged fathers' absence. Mr. Alvey, you may proceed. Who do you need in?
Shelby Brady.
Okay. All right, Mr. Alvey, call your first witness.
I would call Miss Shelby Brady, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Brady, if you'd raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Alvey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Brady, you are a St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist.
Yes.
In that capacity, you are familiar with Aria, Abel, Audrey, and Adaya, who are the children of subject to this case?
Yes.
Where are these children currently placed?
They're currently placed in foster homes and group homes in Texas.
All right. I'm going to need something more specific than that.
Okay.
Are they all in Lubbock or not?
4 of them are in Lubbock. Abel is in Silverton.
And are their respective placements meeting all of their needs at this time?
At this time, yes.
Are any of the children placed together?
Aria and Ava are placed together in a group home, and Audrey and Adela are placed together in a foster home, and they're the 4 in Lubbock.
Are the children being taken care of in their respective placements?
Yes, they are.
Making sure that each child is attending any dental and or mental health appointments?
Yes, they're all attending their therapies, physical therapies, occupational therapies as appropriate.
Any special issues or special concerns for any of the children that we need to bring to the court's attention today?
Aria was diagnosed with ADHD, and so she recently began her medication, and that's continuing to be monitored. And then Abel is continuing to be evaluated and monitored for any possible diagnosis or additional treatments needed to help him. And then Audrey just has seasonal allergies. She's being referred to an allergist for, and will get tubes placed in her ears.
Children's mother is Tamara Nunley. She was ordered to work services through a service plan. Has she begun working her services?
She has begun. She has completed a psychosocial evaluation. I have made a call to that provider to try to speak to them more specifically about the services that she's needing done, but I'm still waiting on a call back from them.
And do you know where Miss Nunley is currently living?
She had previously given me an address in Buckeye, Arizona, but then told me at one time that she was not living in, or that she was not in Buckeye anymore. I asked her where she was living, and she has not provided me with a new address if it's different than that one.
Based on the fact that she is just starting services and has only completed a psychosocial evaluation, and we don't know exactly where she is living, do you believe that it would be safe to return any of her children to her today?
Not at this time.
Would you agree with me it would be contrary to the children's general welfare to return any of them to Miss Nunley today?
Yes.
Has Miss Nunley participated in any random drug screens since she started working her services?
She has participated, I believe, in 2 urinary screens that were negative, and a hair follicle screen was, they rejected the test because her hair was not long enough.
Today, are you requesting that Miss Nunley be ordered to drug screen?
Yes, please.
Do you want a UA, a hair follicle, or both?
Both if possible, please.
As part of that, are you asking that Miss Nunley not cut her hair at this point in time until we can have a regular set of drug screens from her?
Yes.
She has alleged different fathers for each of the children. Have you had any contact with any of those fathers?
I have not.
Have you made efforts to attempt to find all of those different fathers?
Yes, I have.
And no one has reached out to you to take responsibility for any of these children?
Not at this time.
Are you asking then that the court continue the department as temporary managing conservator of these children, and that the previous orders concerning services be in place for Miss Nunley?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Brady. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kincaid?
Thank you, Your Honor. Are there any pending home studies?
Not at this time. We did a home study on maternal grandmother. They were not able to schedule the interview, so it was denied due to the time passing. And then we were going to do a home study on maternal aunt-in-law Kiera, but she has not provided me the information.
Okay, so if we can get you the information for other relatives, we could get a home study going for them.
Yep.
Okay, and are you aware of where she would need to go to drug screen today if it were ordered?
She has gone to Any Lab Test Now, I believe it's what it's called, and I could get like the more specific address.
Okay,
But last month she went to a facility she was close enough to.
okay. I'll pass witness.
All right, Mr. Nowak?
No questions. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Shelby, I've got several questions. If you don't know the answer to some of these, just tell me that. She had a raft of criminal charges and all of a sudden she's out of jail. Has she taken care of those, or is she just waiting trial? Did she bond out?
From what has been reported to me and what I've been able to find out, the charges were dropped from her, so she doesn't have any pending legal charges.
Okay, all right. And then I read in the CPS report, she admits that she's a marijuana user. Do you know, is marijuana legal in Arizona?
I believe it is. I don't know the exact laws on it.
Okay, but you think it's probably legal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Is she having any visits with any of these 5 kids?
She does have virtual weekly 1-hour visits with the children.
All right. And then I also read from the CASA report, I read that one of CASA's recommendations is that Abel not be forced to visit with the maternal grandmother. Do you know anything about what's up with that?
Yes, Abel has presented. The visit monitor and the different placements have told me that he starts to talk a lot less during the visits, like after she gets on, as well as like in the days following the visits. They've noticed that he continues to talk more whenever those visits are missed. And then he also has like a nervous habit of picking at his arm, and that he does that more so during visits. It was mentioned that grandmother had asked if the kids wanted to see her, and Abel started crying, and grandmother had interpreted that as like Abel missed him so much, but placement in the visit monitor said that that was not the case, and that it was more so a situation of Abel being scared and not wanting to see her.
Is maternal grandmother visiting when Miss Nunley visits, or are they separate? I mean, how did grandma get visits to begin with?
We were doing a home study on her, and so in order to kind of facilitate that relationship until that home study could be completed if it was approved, we set up visits as well for her. They are virtually and they're separate from mom's for an hour each week.
All right. And did that home study pass, or is it pending, or was it denied?
It was denied. They were not able to schedule the interview with grandmother
Okay.
or complete the interviews that were scheduled.
Grandma wasn't cooperating or wouldn't get back with them, or what?
She kept on having different things come up. She had a death in the family, and then there were other situations where she just wasn't available at the scheduled times. And so the expiration date or the end date on the home study came, and so they said that they had to deny it due to not being the attempts made but not being able to complete.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Does anybody else have anything further for Ms. Brady?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Albee, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor. At this time, we'll rest.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Kincaid, any witnesses?
I'll call Miss Nunley.
Okay. Ms. Nunley, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. If you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Kincaid?
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Nunley, in addition to the psychosocial, is there anything else that you've completed on your service plan?
Okay, so I've completed the substance abuse assessment, and how it goes is they tell me if you pass the the substance abuse assessments, that they have to decide whether you do psychosocial or individual therapy. They told me that I didn't have to do psychosocial and individual therapy was optional. I told them that I would still do it just so I can show the proof to you guys that I'm doing it. And then I did register for the parenting classes, which one doesn't start till tomorrow. So I've completed that. I've been doing my my drug screenings. I've been getting everything done that I need to get done to make sure that I'm capable of getting them back.
Okay, and is there another family member that you would like to have a home study done?
I'm trying to see either if it's my brother or someone else that I have listed down would be fine.
Okay, is there someone specifically today that you would like them to get a home study started on?
So I would have to reach out to family, but most of everyone that said they're willing to do it is who I listed down on the paperwork.
Okay. If you pick someone in particular, can you be sure to let Miss Brady know, because home studies take a while, especially if they're interstate. So the sooner that you let her know who you prefer, do you understand that if you let her know, then we can get that started?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so far as your visits, are you good with 1 hour a week, or would you like to ask the court to increase your visits?
I would probably say increase them, because the hour goes by pretty fast, and we're always having a good time and talking, and they're always so happy to see me. So, I wish it could be a little bit longer, because I know at first Shelby did tell me that you can possibly get up to 2-hour visits, and I was like, looking into that, or like more visits per week, if that was possible. So I just have to wait to see what they say about it or how they go about it.
Okay. And do you understand that where you're currently living, don't give us your address because this is on YouTube, but the department would have to send a worker to do visits, announced and unannounced, to make sure that your home is safe before the kids can be returned. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And so whenever you can you make your address available to Miss Brady so that they can send a worker out there to make sure that your house is okay?
All right.
Okay. That's all I have, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Albee?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Noack?
No questions, Judge.
All right. All right. Ms. Kincaid, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, arrest.
All right. Mr. Noack, did you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge. Rest.
All right. Mr. Noack, recommendations?
I would continue the TMC and the placements. I wouldn't force Abel to visit with maternal grandma if it upsets him that much. I think increasing the time of the virtual visits would be good to the extent the kids can tolerate it, and it's you know, a happy thing for them. Encourage mom to work services and certainly stay in touch with Shelby. And I'd just like to thank Nita for her always awesome CASA reports. Judge, those are my recommendations. Thank you.
All right. Need anything else to add for CASA?
You're muted.
Yeah. You're muted.
Okay, we have nothing further to add. We're in agreement with Vince.
All right.
And thank you, Vince.
Okay. All right, then. I will continue. The department is, well, I've got one question. Mr. Albee, you may have to answer this or find the answer to it. Have any of these alleged fathers been served, or are we going to end up having to post on all of them, or what?
Judge, I think none of them have been served. We have not found them. We've used diligent efforts. I thought we already had started posting on those. But if not, we will file orders to get that done, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right, then. I will continue the department as temporary managed and conservator. I'll continue the current placements. I'll order Miss Nunley to both hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today. Miss Nunley, I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Miss Brady. Y'all can be sure you're on the same page about when and where to go for your drug screens. I'll do that here in just a minute. I'll order that any visits for any of these children with the maternal grandmother are to cease until further court order. And I will order that Miss Nunley provide St. Francis with her current address and that she allow anyone from either St. Francis or the department to view her residence upon request. Okay, our next review hearing will be on August 5th, 2026. It will be by Zoom, just like today's hearing, so parties can ask their lawyers or anyone can go on the court's online docket a day or two before August 5th to see what time of day we have that hearing, so you're not waiting around in the waiting room all day long. Ms. Nunley, is marijuana legal in Arizona?
Yes, it's legal out here.
Is it only medical marijuana or marijuana period?
No, it's any like marijuana period.
Okay, all right. You understand it's still illegal in Texas, don't you?
Yes, but I'm not like a user, but like, didn't they declassify it as a drug? Is what I was.
Not in Texas. It's still an illegal drug in Texas. All I'm trying to tell you, it may be legal there. That's fine. I'm not going to order you can't do it if it's legal, but I can tell you that this court can consider whether or not your marijuana use affects your ability to parent your children at a final hearing. So legal or illegal, I'm just going to let you know that. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Your Honor, just briefly, would it be all right for them to consider increasing visitations?
Oh yeah, I didn't mention that. I don't have a problem with that at all. These kids, especially at their ages, I suspect, especially the youngest ones, I suspect it's hard to keep their attention for an hour at a time. But I don't have any problem with increasing visitation. I'll let Miss Nunley, Miss Brady, St. Francis decide how to do that. If it's better that are any of these kids in therapy, Miss Brady?
Yes, all of them except for Adela and Abel are in therapy. Audrey even attends play therapy.
Okay, so I'm just going to order that. I'll just order that increased visitation. I'm approving that. I would suggest, I won't order it, but I'd suggest you talk to the kids that have therapists to see if we should break it up into shorter periods, but more times per week. And I know that's going to depend on whether or not there's somebody to monitor those. But my experiences with kids this young, shorter periods, more times a week is usually more beneficial to both the kids and the parents. So, okay, all right. All right, that will conclude this hearing. We'll see y'all back on August 5th. We'll be in recess. I'll be back here in just a few minutes to call a Gray County case. If any of you are involved, that is a permanency review after final order on the Lingenfelter child. So we'll be in recess. Y'all have a good rest of your week and have a good weekend. This is a permanency review after final order involving the child, John Lingenfelter. Mr. Albee's with us for the department. Ms. Nelson's with us for CASA. As I said, Mr. Harris is not with us. He represents John, the child. Mr. Pirtle's with us representing the father, Matthew Lingenfelter, who's with us. And Ms. Grant is with us representing the mother, Leslie Lingenfelter, who is with us. That's all the parties. I have Jennifer Campos, Karen Huddleston, and Shelby Brady in the waiting room.
Judge, Karen Huddleston will be the permanency specialist to testify, and Jennifer is her supervisor, so I'd ask that both of them be allowed in.
All right, I'll get them in. All right, they have both joined us. Mr. Albee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Miss Karen Huddleston.
Okay. Ms. Huddleston, if you'd unmute, please. There you go. If you'd raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Albee.
Thank you. Miss Huddleston, you're a St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist.
Yes, that's correct.
And in that capacity, you are familiar with John Lingenfelter, who is the child, the subject of this suit.
Yes.
And John is currently placed where?
He is in Center, Texas, in
And
a
is that-
foster home.
And is that a medically needy foster home?
Yes, that's correct.
And is that foster home taking care of all of John's medical needs?
Yes.
John still has some pretty substantial medical issues.
Yes, that is correct.
Those are similar to what has been in place for some time now.
Yes, correct.
And his foster home competently takes care of all of his medical needs.
Yes, that is correct.
Child's mother is Leslie Lingenfelter. Child's father is Matthew Lingenfelter.
Yes.
And they still reside in Pampa, Gray County, Texas.
Yes.
We were able at a mediation some time ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, able to clear up some understandings about what we were looking for the Lingenfelters in order to be able to try to reunify them with John.
Yes, that is correct.
And is it your understanding that we were waiting on some proposals from the Lingenfelters attorneys so that we could try to establish a plan?
Yes, that is correct.
In the meantime, do the Lingenfelters have appropriate visitation rights with John?
They meet with him twice a week for 30 minutes virtually. They have the ability to see him in person, but they have not seen him in person since August.
Thank you, Ms. Huddleston. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Grant.
Ms. Huddleston, since our last hearing, are you aware of a trip that the child took to Disney World in Florida?
Yes, that is correct.
And are you aware that the parents filed an emergency order to get a ruling on his ability to go on that trip?
Yes, that is correct.
And do you recall that previous testimony at a previous hearing had gone pretty extensively into a testimony that John requires a medical transport in order to return to Amarillo, correct?
I do need to clarify that because
Okay, hold on one second. Let me just do questions and answers, okay?
Yeah.
You recall that there was extensive testimony that he needed a medical transport and that would be done at the parents' expense, correct?
Yes.
And we have since determined during the communications on that emergency order that is much less extensive than it had been discussed in the past, correct?
He still needs a nurse to travel, just not.
Correct, but my question is.
Let her answer, Ms. Grant.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ms. Huddleston. You weren't
He still needs a nurse to travel. His placement did provide a nurse for that trip.
Correct, but that was always the case, and he never needed an ambulance to transport him, correct?
Only if St. Francis is in charge of transporting him. We don't have the medical capacity to do that, so we would have to transport him by ambulance.
So St. Francis is not able to transport him with only a nurse?
Yes.
And can you tell me why St. Francis is not able to use a nurse to ride with him versus an ambulance like the foster family is allowed to?
We would have to transport him by ambulance because we are not in charge of that. The nurse would have to be in the ambulance with us.
And in fact, didn't we determine that that's because the nurse won't get paid for the trip home if she's not in the ambulance and being paid by the parents?
I do believe we discussed payment, yes.
Okay, so is St. Francis able to pay to return John to Amarillo, or are they not allowed to pay?
Medicaid is in charge of that.
Okay, can you tell me who's feeding you the answers to these questions, please?
My supervisor, Jennifer Campos.
Okay, if you don't know the answer, go ahead and just tell me you don't know, and I can let Ms. Campos testify if you're not aware on your own, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Medicaid will determine the ability to pay for a nurse to travel with John. Is that correct, to your understanding?
To my understanding, yes.
Okay. Has that request been made?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Is John able to come to Amarillo to do a visit with his parents so that we can assess them in the home with him?
If all of the other stipulations are in place.
Okay. And when you say stipulations, can you tell the court what stipulations that you are referring to?
If St. Francis is in charge of that, we'd have to get Medicaid approval. The placement could provide a nurse if they were willing to bring him up here, or the parents would have to provide the nurse.
Okay. And but it could be done based on a nurse to go with transport, correct? And he has to drive. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. And the reason the nurse is necessary is only for feedings. Is that correct?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. So when we did the emergency order and that was communicated to us, you were not a part of that conversation if it occurred, correct?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. If someone communicated that in a conversation, you were not part of that conversation and are not aware, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What service, if you know, does the nurse provide during transport?
I know they do feeding. I don't know what else they would provide.
Okay. Is John on any medications that are given on a specific schedule that a nurse would need to monitor?
I can check. Hold on.
Okay. Thank
Judge, I'm
you.
going to object if she doesn't know it's speculation.
Just hang.
Are you checking the official record, Ms. Huddleston?
Yes.
May I
No,
talk
sir.
to my attorney?
Yeah, you can talk to your attorney.
Okay.
All right, I'll put Miss Grant and I'll put Mr. Pirtle and Mr. Lingenfelter in a breakout room.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge. I just had a couple more questions. Karen, were you able to look up the medications that John is currently prescribed?
Yes, he's taking several.
Okay, and he has a regimen for those that the nurses follow, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And they're properly called out in the court report.
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. And I just have one more question. After the emergency order for the trip to Disney World, would you agree that all of us are a little more informed about the needs and ability of John to travel and move about?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation. She can answer what she may be informed of, but all of us would be speculation.
Overruled. I mean, she can tell me what she knows. She can't.
Yes.
Okay. So do you believe there would be value in returning to mediation prior to the parents filing a motion for monitored return?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, that'll be our request today. I don't want to go much further since this is a permanency hearing. Don't want to put the docket behind, and I don't have that motion pending today. So I
Okay.
wanted to stop there. The court's aware of the emergency order and kind of what went on with that. And I think we all have a much better understanding of John's needs due to that motion and should return to mediation to start efforts to get the child in a reunification status.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that at all. That's exactly where I was headed. So,
Thank you, Judge.
Judge, for the record, we've started mediation and we were waiting for some additional information from the Ligenfelters. And part of that mediation agreement was that we would come back to mediation in May. So we
Okay.
already had that planned.
okay, that works for me.
Yes. Thank you,
All right.
Judge.
Mr. Albee, did you have any more questions?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Any more witnesses from the department?
No, Your Honor, we'll rest.
Ms. Grant, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we'll rest.
All right, Mr. Pirtle, any witnesses?
Considering what we all just was said, Judge, no witnesses. Rest.
All right, Mr. Harris isn't here. Let me pull up his email real quick. All right, Mr. Harris says, as the ad litem in the Lingenfelter case, I'm recommending that John remain in his placement and that it be approved and continued. That's all he had to say. So, okay, then that's his recommendation. Let's see, Miss Nelson, does CASA have anything to add?
Nothing to add, Your Honor. We agree.
Okay. Now, I did read in the CASA report that they recommended before that John not be made to travel back and forth to Pampa for overnight visits. At some point, we're going to have to do that. I think we'll take care of that with the rest of my ruling. I'm going to order the department continue as permanent managing conservator. John's current placement be continued. I'll order the department and/or St. Francis to make any and all requests necessary from Medicaid for John to be able to have overnight visits with his parents in Pampa, subject to all of John's medical needs. And I know that sounds very cursory. I don't know how else to put it. At some point, we're going to have to get John back to his parents. They've done their services, but this court's primary concern is John's well-being. So this court's not going to order he go back to his parents until I am convinced that everything is in place for him to continue to get the same care that he's getting in the medically needy foster home. So I don't know. I'm no expert in Medicaid. I just know that I'm ordering all parties to cooperate and do what's necessary so that when John goes to his parents' house, whether we start with overnights or whether we move him back home, that all of his medical needs are being taken care of. And that until I hear that, I'm not going to move him. So I think everybody's on the same page. Mr. Albee says you've already agreed to go back to mediation, but I am ordering that you go back to mediation and try to work out the details so that he can safely travel to see how he does with his parents and how his parents are able to take care of his medical needs on their own. So, okay, I will set the next review hearing for October 7th. But if we run into problems, if you need a court hearing for any reason, just notify Brittany in my office and we'll set that up. We're gonna have to rip the Band-Aid off at some point, but I don't want to do it until we're sure medically that he is completely safe traveling and going back to see his parents. So, okay, unless somebody asks for another hearing, we'll see you back on October 7th. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so you can go on the court's online docket or talk to your lawyers a day or two before October 7th to see what time of day we have that hearing, so you're not waiting around in the waiting room all day long. So, All right, we'll be in recess. Everybody have a good rest of your week and have a good weekend. I will be back here in just a minute to call another Gray County case, another placement review after on the Lewis and Schechter children. So y'all have a good rest of your week.
You too, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. And
Thank y'all.
Judge, just for the court's information, we are going to reach out to Barbara Tennyson, who also resides in Pampa, and I think she would be a good friend and resource to these parents, and the department had no issue with that at mediation. So I think Barbara Tennyson is an awesome person and would be a good person for these parents to know.
I'm a big believer in Barbara. She's helped us out on multiple cases, so that would be a great first step. So
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all.
Oh, Your Honor, my wife is about to say something.
Yeah.
Judge, may I speak with Stacy Grant real quick, please?
Yeah, I'll put you
Before
all in
we-
the breakout room. You can stay as long as you want, and then you can just drop off. I'll probably be in another hearing, but you just drop off when you're through.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, you may be asked to join this breakout room, or it may put you in there automatically.
Yes, thank you, sir.
I will call Gray County case number 40588. This is a permanency review after final order involving the Lewis and the Schechter children. Mr. Albie's with us for the department. Ms. Nelson's with us for CASA, and Mr. Nowak is, Mr. Nowak, yeah, he's with us. Yeah. Mr. Nowak's with us representing the children. The parents have both been terminated. That's all the parties. I have Sean Ryan as the only one in the waiting room.
He's my witness, Your Honor.
Okay, get him in. All right, Mr. Albie, Mr. Ryan's with us. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Mr. Ryan as a witness.
Okay. Mr. Ryan, if you'd raise your right hand, you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Albie.
Mr. Ryan, you're a St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist.
Yes, sir.
In that capacity, you are familiar with the two children, Isabella and Michael Schechter.
Yes, sir.
Where is Isabella currently placed?
She's placed in a group home in Lubbock.
And where is Michael currently placed?
In a same thing, group home in Houston, Texas.
And has St. Francis Ministries determined that it's in these children's best interest not to be together?
Correct. Yes, sir.
They've actually flourished and done better apart than they did when they were together.
Very much so. Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that there's a possible placement for one or both of the children that could be an adoptive placement.
Yes, sir. For Isabella, as of right now, I don't have that much information on that. We do have a staffing later today to address that stuff. And we'll, it's a selection staffing, so we're gonna go over a bunch of people that are currently interested, and we will find who we feel is the best suitor for Isabella.
So what I think I hear you saying, Mr. Ryan, is that there are a number of interested families in adopting Isabella at this time.
Correct.
And after a staffing, we hope to be able to find a permanent place for her.
Correct.
Mike is also available for adoption. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But we don't have a set of families who are interested in having him adopted at this point.
At this time, no, sir, we do not.
However, the home he's in Harris County is meeting all of his needs.
Oh, yes, sir, all of them.
Are you asking then that the court continue? The department is permanent managing conservator for both of these children and continue to look for adoption placements.
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Nowak?
No questions, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Sean, I read that Isabella really likes her current placement and she wants to stay there long term, but that's a therapeutic foster home, isn't it?
That's correct. Yes, sir. We did just put in a request for her to be there for another 3 months. And the reason being is Isabella's history, she's moved from placement to placement to placement, you know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
she stayed in this placement. So what they're doing there, we feel is really working. Now she's still having behavior problems and issues and stuff like that. And I mean, we weren't expecting those to completely go away. But other than that, though, like she's really settled in, and we think it's good for her. So that's why we think the 3-month period might be beneficial for her. So that way we can continue that progress.
So if you get it approved, then she could stay there for another 3 months at least?
Yes, sir. And it was approved, if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
good.
I'd have to go back and check, but that's already been approved. We've been dealing with that like this past week, last week, not this week. So,
Okay, great. So
yes, sir.
that'd give us 3 months for her to maybe y'all decide what might be an adoptive home and she'd get to know them and maybe make that transition a little easier. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Okay, Mr. Alley, anything further from the department?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And Costa pointed this out. I think everybody did. These kids are in their 9th placement. So I know everybody's doing what they can. This is just not one of our most successful cases so far. So I don't blame that on anybody. It's just the way it is. So, Mr. Nowak, did you have any witnesses?
I don't have any witnesses, Judge.
All right, Mr. Nowak, your recommendations.
And I was just appointed yesterday afternoon, so I'm not quite as up to speed as I'd like to be. However, I did read Sean's report, and I'd like to thank Sean for also returning my call this morning to get me all the way up to speed. I think the department's done the best they can, putting these kiddos where they are. And I would certainly recommend maintaining conservatorship and the placements. And I know the kids can't hear this, but my kids went through 8 placements before I adopted them. So there's hope at the end of the tunnel, I hope, for these kiddos.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm certainly, I wasn't casting any dispersions on anybody. Everybody's doing what they can. So.
And it looks like these kids have gone through what my kids back 30 years ago went through. So my heart, I sure do appreciate this appointment.
Sure. Grace, anything else from CASA?
No, we're excited about the possibility for permanency for Isabella and hopefully Michael at some point. And of course, I mean, these kids had severe trauma, and that's has more to do with their placements than anything else. We don't blame anybody. We're just excited for permanency.
Yeah, me too. Okay, then I will continue the department's permanent managing conservator, continue the current placements at this time. I'll set our next hearing for October 7th, 2026. It will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can, well, there are no parties really, just attorneys. You can go on the court's online docket a day or two before October 7th to see what time of day we'll have that hearing. So, okay, we'll be in recess on this case. I'll be back here in just a couple of minutes to call a Lipscomb County case. That is another placement review after final order involving the Doris child. So we'll be in recess. Y'all have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all. This is a permanency review after final order involving the child John Doris. Mr. Alley's with us for the department. Ms. Talley's with us for CASA, and Ms. Holcomb is with us representing the child. The mother, Ms. Harvey, who is a possessory conservator, is not with us. I don't know if anybody's aware. Were we expecting her, or should we go ahead and proceed? Anybody?
To go ahead and proceed, Judge. She's a teacher, and I don't think that she was going to be able to attend.
Okay, all right. We'll go ahead then. I'll watch the waiting room in case anybody else comes in. This is our last hearing, so I'll be watching for anybody. So, all right, Mr. Alley, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Mr. Tim Coble.
Okay, Mr. Coble, do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you, Mr. Albee.
Mr. Coble, you're St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist.
Yes.
In that capacity, you are familiar with John Doris, who is the child that's subject of this suit?
Yes.
And John is how old?
John is 17.
When does he turn 18?
In August of this year.
My understanding is that he is currently unaccounted for.
That's correct.
We have been taking all means necessary to try to find him.
Yes, we have. We have a special investigator from the department that's been assigned for several months. And we've had a few leads that have taken us to different states, but as of now, we don't really have any solid leads to be able to locate him.
So you can't tell the court what his current status is, because Though we're looking, we can't find him.
That's right, unfortunately.
And he knows that he can reach out to you. He knows that he can reach out to Miss Harvey if he wants to.
Yes.
Also talked to other family members with the understanding that if he contacts them, they can reach out to us also.
Yes.
And nobody seems to know exactly where he's at.
That's correct. I've heard everything from Missouri to California to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Thank you, Mr. Coble. Your Honor, I don't know if there's a whole lot in addition to add. We're looking for him. He's been gone for several months. That's all we can do at this point in time.
All right. Ms. Holcomb, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor. I just wanted to add, I've tried to get a hold of him on all the previous numbers that I have, and he's obviously not responded to me. I reached out to him even through social media before, and he kind of had responded, but that was all the way prior to, I believe, our last hearing, and just no response from him.
Okay. Ashley, anything from CASA?
No, Your Honor, we're in the same boat as everybody else.
Yeah. Tim, I know he was on a couple of psychotropic meds, so we don't have any idea whether or not most likely he's probably not on them anymore. Would you agree?
I would agree, Judge, because when he leaves with just, whatever he's wearing.
Right. Yeah. And I know I read that on his previous runaway that he was located living with another child, I guess not a child, but another young adult that had been in foster care too. Was that correct?
Yes, Judge. We ended up doing an unauthorized placement because we wanted to at least know where he was and hope that he would stay put. And he did for a month or so. But then I went down there in November and no one answered the door. And he texted me days later that they were mean to him. And so he left. And that kind of fell through pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying to remember. Sometimes I get my cases confused. At that last runaway, didn't law enforcement go out to do a well check, and that's kind of how you found out that he was living with this other young adult? Have I got my cases confused?
No, that's correct. It was law enforcement doing a well check, and then the department sent out an investigator to lay eyes on him as well, and then we just let him stay there for that period of time until he left again.
Okay. All right then. So I'll continue the department as permanent managing conservator, continue Miss Harvey as a possessory conservator. I can't say I'll continue his current placement because we don't know what that is, but I note that he turns 18 4 months from today exactly. Mr. Albee, I was going to set the next review hearing for October, but do you want me to move it up sometime around when he turns 18, or what do you want?
Judge, I don't know. I mean, if we find him, we need to have a hearing. If we don't find him, we don't. So if you just allow me, set it in October. If we find him, we'll ask for a new hearing.
Sure. If you need a hearing, just get with me. We'll have one within a couple of days. Whenever we need to, we'll have a hearing on it. So, but as far as today and to put in the order, I'll order that our next review hearing will be on October 7th. Obviously, that'll be by Zoom like today's hearing, so you can check the docket to see what time of day we would have that hearing. So, okay, this was our last hearing for the morning, so we'll be in recess. Everybody have a good rest of your week and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all.
Judge.